Robbie and I grew up together and we were almost like brothers. Ross was the one with the wild imagination, our practical joker. Robbie, on the other hand, was a little less crazy but strangely enough always did what Ross wanted. And me? I was the typical follower, silently going along with the flow they created, rarely daring to voice any concerns. It was this very trait that led me into this predicament. Ross stood out with his tall, husky build, bright blonde hair and blue eyes. Robbie was the shortest of the group, with an average build, raven black hair, and deep brown eyes. I, in contrast, was the skinny kid with brown hair and green eyes. That crazy idea had been brewing between Ross and Robbie for a while. They even told me about it. But at the time I was away with my folks, so I couldn't participate. Ross drilled a hole in the wall separating the girls' locker room from an old, unused closet. Then, using Robbie's video camera, he made a tape that lasted several hours. As the self-proclaimed king of pranks, Ross had truly outdone himself this time. There weren't many boys in school who wouldn't pay dearly to get a copy of that tape. And so, he started his little business. How does this first part sound in English? Let me know when you're ready for the next section. Everything programmacao when a parent, in a grimly coincidental moment, discovered the tape. Horrifyingly, they watched it. The images of high school girls in various states of undress immediately triggered an investigation. Just a few short hours later, Ross, Robbie, and I were all taken to a conference room, each of us isolated in a corner. It didn't take long for the whole truth to come. Mechanism. Our parents, along with others involved, were notified. In the tense hours that followed, each person's role and responsibility became increasingly clear. The authorities were summoned, and as a result, Ross and Robbie faced a slew of serious charges: breaking and entering, voyeurism, solicitation, property damage, and more. As for me, because I wasn't directly involved in filming or distributing the tapes, many charges were dropped. Even so, my nightmare was far from over. Ross, thanks to his family's arrangements, reached a deal: enrollment in a notoriously strict military academy, with probation until he turned 21. Robbie, meanwhile, stayed home but was banned from his old school. His parents decided to send him to a different school in a distant state, vaguely citing the need to readjust his attitude. Despite not being directly involved, I still expected some form of punishment, especially since I had been with my parents when the incident occurred. My father, a man of few words but extreme strictness, was furious at my silence regarding Ross and Robbie's actions. He, along with my mother, had secretly prepared a far more severe punishment, one I would only learn about upon returning home. On the entire drive home from school, my father maintained a terrifying silence. Past experience told me it was best to keep my mouth shut. When we got home, he ordered me to sit in the chair opposite the couch, where he and Mom sat side by side, not saying a word. Finally, the heavy silence was broken as he announced my punishment. "Since you like to look at girls' bodies without their permission," Dad's voice was even but held an underlying chill, "you're going to get the chance to experience that, Peg." My mother held two identical pieces of paper. "These are identical, David. I wrote them last night, printed them out, and deleted the original file from the computer." She began to read aloud, her voice clear with each word. 1. From this day onward, for a minimum of 1 year, you shall dress and act as a girl of your own age. 2. You will follow all family rules applicable to a girl your age. 3. At any time we may increase the length of time you are in skirts, but only for an infraction of the rules. 4. You will continue to attend your school, but as a girl. 5. To ensure this does not happen again, you will be made to look like a girl your age. 6. If at the end of 1 year we determine that you have learned your lesson, you may become a boy again if you wish. Do you understand all of these? I was stunned. They were going to make me dress differently? Mom! I started to protest. "There will be no discussion, David," Mom interrupted, her voice firm. "You will spend at least the next year dressed differently. The only question now is, do you understand the rules?" She handed me a copy. As I read through the words, a sense of unease washed over me. But I didn't do anything. You knew what they were doing. You knew it was wrong and you did not tell us. By implication, you are guilty, and now you'll face the consequences. Mom's voice was stern, but Dad remained strangely calm. "Did you watch the recording, David?" he asked. All three of us watched it together and I stammered, then realized my slip. Yes, sir. So you knew the recording existed and said nothing? Yes, sir. Then he smiled mysteriously. Son, it's natural for boys your age to be curious about girls, their appearance and so on. I understand that. But this was inappropriate and you knew it then and you know it now. We decided that having you dress differently would make you understand the embarrassment those girls feel. Trust me when I say that you are getting off easy compared to Robbie and Ross. To ensure that you understand the guidelines on this paper, we want you to sign and date it. We will all sign all copies and you may keep one. If you refuse to sign it, you will still find yourself dressed differently, but as a younger child. This way you will be allowed to wear anything any other child your age would wear, except that for the first 2 months, you may not wear any pants of any kind, unless the weather necessitates it and your mother agrees. Now sign the paper, David. I reviewed the paper again. With no alternatives, I tremblingly signed it with the pen Dad handed me. I want you to go to your room, take everything out of your closet, and put it in the boxes there. I mean all of it, David. Posters, clothes, toys. Do all of it. I will be up in a few hours to check on you. Dad's voice was back to its gravelly, authoritative tone. I trudged up to my room. Cardboard boxes were piled everywhere. Looking around my familiar room, a wave of despair washed over me. I knew in my heart that my life was about to change dramatically. Suddenly an idea struck me. I quickly grabbed a pair of jeans and a shirt and hid them under the mattress on my bed. Then I started packing as I was told. When my mom showed up, she meticulously checked the closet, the dresser, the shelves, and then she lifted the mattress. I'm disappointed in you, David. Not even a few hours into our agreement, and already you're trying to cheat. She sighed. I think a 2-month extension is in order, don't you? 2 months. 2 more months added to a year as a girl, and I hadn't even seen any girls' clothes yet. Under her supervision, Dad and I carried all the boxes to the shed, where he padlocked them. Back to your room, David. It's time we started. With a heavy sigh, I followed Mom back to my room. Please take your clothes off, David. Mom's voice was gentle but firm. Please. Mom. Now. Under her stern gaze, I slowly undressed, standing naked in front of her for the first time since I was a child. Without any warning, she started smearing a hair removal cream all over me. Everywhere. We have made arrangements for you to be out of school until next Monday. Plenty of time to get you ready. Following her instructions, I showered, shaved, though I didn't have much, and washed my hair under her supervision. After drying myself, she applied a fragrant powder all over me. You have a 2 p.m. appointment, David. We've got time. Relax, you might enjoy it, she said, handing me a pair of panties. I reluctantly put them on. I had no choice. Afterward, she seated me at her vanity, where she expertly applied makeup. Foundation, eyeshadow, eyeliner, and blusher. My brown hair was styled into a high ponytail, secured with a pink elastic band. This is just temporary, David, she assured me. But I wasn't reassured. I was afraid. Next came a new bra, size 36A, plain white with back hooks. Mom helped me into it, placing rolled-up nylons in the cups to create some fullness. Then she guided me through putting on pantyhose and slipping on a short red dress with a flared skirt and round neckline. The new black flats she gave me fit perfectly. Now, dear lipstick, David, she instructed, handing me a tube of bright red. We've got plenty of time before your appointment. Are you hungry? I nodded. She led me to the kitchen. Dad wasn't around, so we both had sandwiches. Time to go. Mom's enthusiasm was unsettling. I hesitated in my seat, reluctant to leave the house. Want another 2 months tacked on? No. Reluctantly, I got up and got into the car. Mom drove me to a small clinic. It looked familiar. It was Robbie's dad's place. He was a gynecologist. Let's go, David. Mom held my hand. Upon entering, she announced my appointment to the nurse, sparking giggles from the other women waiting. I was taken to a back room. A different doctor entered. Please undress, David. Mom assisted. Then the doctor asked her to step out. He conducted an examination and administered a shot in my arm. When I woke up, I found myself in my own bed at home. But the room had been completely transformed, painted pink and white. The sheets boasted a lace trim. Dolls from various corners of the globe adorned the shelves. Sitting up, I felt an unfamiliar weight on my chest. Instinctively, I reached up and encountered two new body parts. Looking down, I discovered I now had a larger chest. And when I lifted the covers, I saw bandages on my groin. Tears welled up. Mom entered and sat beside me. "Remember rule number 5? We promised you'd resemble a girl your age, and now you do. You can now see the body of an 18-year-old girl anytime, David." "Do I still?" "No and yes, David. It's still there but non-functional. You not only resemble a girl but you now have the same hygiene needs. Don't fret, you'll adjust like we all did." Tears streaming, I gazed at her. All she offered was permission to stay in bed if I wished, adding, "Tomorrow you have an early appointment at the salon. I'll assist you with dressing, David, but from then on, it's your responsibility to prepare each day." That evening, I removed the bandage to inspect the results. As promised, I now resembled a girl. In the morning, I slipped into some panties and noticed they fit much better now. My hips appeared fuller and rounder, while my waist seemed slimmer. I struggled a bit with the bra but managed to put it on. It was supportive and relieved the discomfort. Mom entered, overseeing as I sat at my new vanity and applied my own makeup for the first time. She parted my hair down the middle and left it hanging straight. "Finish getting dressed, David. Put on a skirt and blouse. We have a busy day ahead." Following her instructions, I dressed and found myself looking exactly like a girl my age, despite feeling a bit awkward in the attire. Mom drove us to a salon, where I was escorted to a chair. The stylist didn't ask any questions. She simply got to work. Mom observed from a distance. My hair was trimmed, set in rollers and treated with various lotions. While under the dryer, I flipped through 17, a magazine geared towards girls my age, and had my nails extended, filed, and painted a soft red. An hour later, still seated, I examined the transformation. My formerly straight brown hair now boasted auburn waves cascading around my face and down to my shoulders. My eyebrows, once average, were now shaped with a higher arch, and my makeup was flawlessly applied. Mom settled the bill as I continued to gaze at myself in the mirror. Every vestige of my old self had vanished, replaced by the most feminine look imaginable. "Have a wonderful year, David," the stylist remarked. Her daughter, apparently, had been involved in the makeover process. "I hope you're as embarrassed as she is." I remained speechless as Mom whisked me off to go shopping. By the time we returned home, my wardrobe had significantly expanded. During the day, Mom and I paused for lunch, during which she shared more details with me. "The fine was substantial, David, but we managed to persuade the judge to allocate it towards your transformation. Trust me, regardless of your feelings about this, you're in a much better situation than Robbie or Michael." She went on to explain their circumstances. Robbie was enrolled in an exclusive all-girls school, starting from scratch as a little girl, complete with diapers and frilly dresses. Meanwhile, Michael was relegated to a military academy because he was deemed too physically imposing for a female makeover. He'd be assigned to the most menial and degrading tasks until he turned 21, clad in a skirt and blouse to emphasize his femininity. Compared to them, David, you've had it easy. And if you allow it, embracing your feminine side can actually be enjoyable. Mom, can we stop calling me David? At least in public. Why? It's your name after all. Look at me, Mom, I said, a hint of desperation in my voice. Being called David only exacerbates things. All right, so I'm a girl now. There's no changing it. So why not opt for something less masculine? Yes, what name do you have in mind, dear? Danielle. Call me Danielle, Mom. I glanced away, just then missing the subtle smile that crossed my mother's face. The shopping trip resulted in 4 additional skirts, 3 dresses, 3 extra bras, a dozen new pairs of panties, a coat, pantyhose, 5 pairs of shoes, 2 slips, 7 blouses, pierced ears, and an array of new jewelry. Additionally, I obtained a makeup kit, curling iron, blow dryer, roller set, 2 suits, a corselet, a padded panty brief, and my own hairdryer. We transported everything to my room, where I was instructed to organize it all. That evening at dinner, Dad inquired if I was fully prepared, to which Mom affirmed, instructing him to henceforth refer to me as Danielle. It was her suggestion, Ron, and because she's handled everything so well, I agreed. Then I'll arrange to change her name tomorrow. and she can resume school on Monday as scheduled. The following day, I had free rein as long as I wore a skirt or dress. Instead of going out, I relocated my computer to my room and set it up. I gathered all my identification documents, scanned each one into the computer, changing the name to Danielle Elaine Grant, and printed them out. As the last one emerged from the printer, Mom entered. Elaine? I like that, Danielle. A wonderfully feminine name. She smiled. I'll inform your father. Then she handed me a wallet and a packet of maxi pads. I understand you don't need these, but I'd like you to wear one for 5 consecutive days each month. Regardless, you can commence whenever you like, dear. Just try to keep it consistent. Monday morning, at my mother's insistence, I adorned myself in a pink A-line skirt and a highly embellished blouse. Doing my makeup to the best of my ability, I grabbed my pink purse, and Mom escorted me to school. Have a pleasant day, dear. Sure, Mom. If she caught the sarcasm in my tone, she didn't acknowledge it, merely waiting until she saw me enter the school before leaving. Once inside, I had little choice but to comply, reporting to the office as instructed. There was no ridicule, just the procedure of having my photo taken for a new school ID card, featuring my updated image and name. Additionally, a few of my classes were reassigned. Since there are no girls in shop classes, you've been switched to home economics. Gym will now be your 3rd hour. I was handed a list of required items and assigned a locker in the girls' locker room before heading to my first class. Until then, I had gone unnoticed. But as I took my usual seat in the first class, every gaze in the room fixated on me. We heard they turned you into a girl. How far did they go, Danielle? Shelley, a notorious nuisance, persisted. Okay, Danielle. How far? I simply brushed her off, stating she'd find out eventually, and turned away. Throughout the day, I was subjected to stares. Some kids giggled and a few guys cringed at the thought of being in my shoes. But on the whole, it wasn't as bad as expected, and I even found myself with a few girls joining me at lunch. As per the household rules prohibiting dating on weekdays and my restriction from leaving the house, I dedicated my time to completing my homework. The following day, during first period, we were instructed, gather in the auditorium. We'll be screening a short film depicting recent events here. You're all familiar with Danielle, and we expect you to treat her with respect, refraining from name-calling or teasing. With that, the lights dimmed and the film commenced. Ross stood on a grassy lawn, clad in a short black miniskirt, black heels and a frilly blouse. Despite his crew cut, he sported bright red lipstick. His legs were unshaven, devoid of any feminine features beyond the lipstick. It was evident he had been crying. On screen, he offered an apology for his actions, vividly describing his circumstances. Next appeared Robbie, situated in a room reminiscent of a nursery, dressed in a short satin and velvet dress with stiff taffeta petticoats. His hair was styled in pigtails, adorned with red ribbons matching his dress. Each pigtail was adorned with a small bell. He wore white ankle socks and black Mary Janes, with a harness encircling his torso, akin to those used on children, tethered by an unseen individual. In his hand, he held a small teddy bear. Like Ross, he expressed his remorse, then bent over to reveal ruffled panties over a diaper. The room remained silent as the film transitioned to my segment. I was depicted wearing a tan skirt and white blouse, slightly unbuttoned to reveal my newfound cleavage. The film documented my trip to the mall with Mom, capturing moments before, during, and after my salon visit. As the film concluded, the principal approached the microphone once more. As you can see, all of the boys involved are being punished. Danielle the least because she was not present. However, she is now a female and will be treated as one. Anyone that gives her a hard time might also learn some humility. Any questions? We all went back to class. At third hour, with my gym bag in tow, I stepped into the girls' locker room for the first time. All eyes were on me as I found my locker and slowly got undressed. When I got to my panties and bra, it was obvious that I was now a girl, and nobody said anything. Later I had to take a shower which sealed it. All of the girls made sure they saw me in the shower, and as soon as they saw that I looked like them, all of the tension, including mine, went away. It took almost a week for the rumors to start. That I was really a girl and always had been. That one was the most popular. But all I could do was ignore them and go on. I had 14 months as a girl, so I might as well get used to it. A month after school started, I was asked out by a brave soul named Ethan. My mind said no, but my mouth said, "I'd like that, Ethan." "What time?" When he came to the house on Friday night, Dad gave him the once-over. I had elected to start wearing my maxi pads. The movie was fine and he was a perfect gentleman. I found out he was funny, and as a girl I thought he was cute. In the theater he put his arm around me, and I let him pull me closer. That night, as he dropped me off at the house, he kissed me on the lips. "Can I call you tomorrow, Danielle?" "Sure. Good night." I went in and saw Mom standing there with Dad. "Have a nice time?" "Yes, it was very nice." I went to my room. I was a boy. I knew it. Ethan knew it. So why did he kiss me? Worse, why did I let him? And why did I like it so much? Ethan called the next day, and with Mom's permission, he came over. Mom had taken to letting me wear shorts, so that's what I had on with a pink top when Ethan came over. On the patio he talked, I smiled a lot, and he kissed me again, a lot more passionately this time, and I once again let him. I was turning into a girl on the inside. Ethan and I dated for almost 3 months, and he and Dad became close. He asked me to the spring dance, and I accepted. Mom went crazy. She insisted on buying a new dress, shoes, and jewelry. I had my hair done, and by the time Ethan got to the house I was clean, perfumed, and more than ready. My chest was hiked up and shoved out, my waist a trim 20 inches due to the corselet. He now had his driver's license and drove us to the dance. Later, he and I got into a passionate embrace, and we touched each other in several places, all of them fun. Without thinking, I had his member in my hand. The velvet hardness was so familiar yet different. His hand found my own thing, and I leaned over and took him. It was smooth and silky on my tongue. I swallowed it and knew there was no way I would ever go back to being a boy again. Never. I had become a girl with a man that wanted me just as much as I wanted him. I failed to wipe my mouth completely, and Mom extended my tour in skirts another 6 months. "It doesn't matter, Mom," I said. "I'm not going back to being a male again anyway." She was quick, I'll give her that. "Then we have to talk about men, and what we do and do not do on a date." We did talk. And in the end, I was accepted by the rest of the kids and went on to become a woman. Robbie never returned to school, but we saw him on holidays. He was now in skirts and blouses instead of the kiddie dresses, but he still did not have a large chest and wore his hair in pigtails with ribbons and bells.